Did you know that Theia is the best flying hero which we have in Call of Dragons in all factions? Unfortunately, we have only 3 factions, but she is the best hero which you can actually use in Call of Dragons for every single faction. Whether you are free-to-play player or pay-to-play player, she's your secret weapon whenever you are playing as a flying unit. In this guide, I will break down exactly how to build her talents, pair her with the right heroes, and optimize her for your faction's playstyle. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you will know how to make Theia your unstoppable hero for your faction. First of all, we have to speak why Theia is the ultimate flying hero, right? In order for us to find out, we have to understand her tricks, and we have to understand how she is basically effective, right? I understand for new players it's hard to know how the hero, which generally doesn't even do damage, doesn't have a damaging skill, can be so effective, right? I know we have shield factors, we have amazing stats which we are getting for our heroes and troops, but yes, I know for beginners it's really hard to understand which kind of attributes and which kind of stats are actually good for the PvP gameplay, right? And yeah, in my opinion, in order for us to understand why she is the best flying hero which we have in the game, we have to mention the unique skill which Theia has, and that's of course Purging Wind, right? Legion gains 20% defense, 10% attack, and 20% march speed if the Legion is composed entirely of flying units. So that's the keyword, right? We have to have only flying units in order for us to use this hero in a perfect moment, right? In a perfect state. Yeah, I know, for example, we can use land units on Theia, but why we should actually do it? Because if we're gonna use land units, basically we are using only 3 skills if your Theia is not awakened, and basically we are removing one of the great skills which Theia has, right? Because I think 20% defense, 10% attack, and 20% march speed is pretty good attributes, especially if we're gonna mention the late game when every single percentage is actually important. And yeah, I believe that if you want to use the Theia with like full potential, you have to use this skill, right? That's why my main advice would be use Theia with flying units, and that's basically connected to the faction, right? So choosing the correct faction in order for you to use Theia in a perfect way is really important, right? Then yeah, in order for you to know that she is a flying hero, this is the small icon which tells us that she is the flying hero, and basically if we're gonna pair her with the flying hero, they will fly if you're gonna have flying troops, right? So that's the one of the most unique things in Call of Dragons, which we have basically flying units, which you can move around the battlefield, fly away, fly under the rivers, under the mountains, and that's really practical, right? If you are enjoying this type of gameplay, I believe there is a mandatory aspect for you to have Theia on the high skills, right? And yeah, of course, we have to speak about the talent tree of the Theia, because I believe talent tree is basically the second tier of importance for every single hero, right? The universal talent build for Theia, right? Of course, as always, when I speak about talent trees, I say that just don't copy and paste. Try to understand what those talents are giving you, and it's pretty simple to understand, because every single talent has an upgrade review, and you're gonna know, like for example, if you're gonna upgrade overall health, we're gonna get 2% HP, which is a good thing, right? I believe Theia is amazing as a secondary hero, in my opinion, and that's why for a secondary heroes, talents basically doesn't matter, right? Talents matter only for primary hero, and that's how it affects the Legion. But still, as always, if you want to try out Theia as a primary hero in some occasions, that's pretty normal. I believe this talent tree is pretty good, right? There is a lot of players who doesn't really rate support talent trees, support gameplays, and healing in open field. I'm not that type of player. I believe healing and support gameplay, especially for the overall heroes, is really good. That's why I went support talent tree until the full and PvP until the half. And for the most important decisions, I went for the force field because I like HP buffs in general, and of course I went for the flock of the blessing because of course I want to get a lot of healing. In terms of PvP talent tree, of course I went for the army of Valor. That's like great talent tree in order for us to increase damage, right? Then other than that, I went for basically every single extra rage gained talents because, well, we want to use our skills on Theia, the shield, and for the other hero because that's how we're gonna deal damage, right? So I went for the head held high. I went for the held high again from the PvP talent tree, and basically, yeah, if there was like some other, yeah, pick me up is another talent which is giving us extra rage, which is really important in my opinion, right? Since we spoke right regarding like primary and secondary heroes, the best hero pairings for Theia, that's pretty tricky, right? Because as I said, Theia is basically connected to the factions, and well, in my opinion, if we're gonna speak about the best pairing for Theia, there is like only one big choice, right? Of course, that's Musiang with Theia is basically the best hero pair currently in the game for the Theia, right? But of course, we're gonna speak later on the video the hero pairs for every single faction, but right now it's about the best hero pair currently in Season of Stripe 5. For Theia, that's primary Musiang and secondary Theia. Musiang and Theia should be used with Celestials, and of course, in order for us to use Celestials, we have to have League of Order as our faction. So basically, right now in the game, the best mage hero pair is Musiang with Theia, right? Of course, Musiang is one of the new heroes in the game. Basically, this hero pair won't gonna deal too much damage if you're expecting in terms of damage, but they will survive for such a long time that they will get enough merits for you, right? And of course, both of them are PvP heroes. Basically, both of them are support heroes, and whenever you are getting heals in open field, you are getting merits. Whenever you are getting heals in open field, your hero pair is healthy, and whenever your hero pair is healthy, you are dealing more damage, and basically it's connected to getting more merits. So Musiang is giving us a lot of healing and some damage, healing mainly from the second skill, and of course all the healing which we are getting with this hero pair is important for the field surgery because we're gonna get 6% more damage dealt. Of course, awakening Musiang will be even better. Extra rage, 50 extra rage is really important, but with the buffs and with the Musiang a little damage, we are getting enough merits with Celestials, right? And we have to mention Celestials are basically better than normal mages. Of course, for this, especially this hero pair, we have a special artifact, which will be especially great for the Musiang Theia hero pair, and that's of course Visage of the Sanctums, flyer units defense, and defense buff is great for Celestials. Because they have like low amount of defense, right? And Legion attack, and of course skill is also survivability, giving us 3 shields to our 3 marches together, which will be really useful, right? And yeah, I believe if we are speaking about best, Visage of the Sanctus is the best artifact for the for this hero pair. In terms of Warped, I believe best Warped since the game was created was Sapphire Faydrake. Of course, Sapphire Faydrake will be the great choice. Also, this Warped is Flyer and Seraphic Faydrake because we're gonna get extra healing increase and extra shield increase, which has an amazing synergy with the Musiang and Theia. I'm gonna show you here Seraphic Faydrake here, and we're gonna go down. We have a healing effect bonus, 60%, healing also, yeah, like basically everything which we are getting from this hero pair, we are getting from the soul source, and that's really good in my opinion, right? So those are the 2 Warpeds which I believe would be great to use whenever you are playing with Musiang and Celestials, right? And of course, if you want to do more damage, you're gonna go for Sapphire Faydrake. If you want to go for the less damage and more survivability, you're gonna go for Seraphic Phaedric. Well, as I have mentioned, Theia is basically connected to the factions, and optimizing Theia for Spring Wardens is a pretty good idea, right? And we're gonna go to the faction bonuses, and we're gonna choose Spring Wardens, and we're gonna go the flying units, right? Because we want to optimize Theia in a way that she will be viable for the flyer units, because we want to use all the skills for the Theia. So Forest Eagles, right? Forest Eagles are basically cavalry flying units, and of course, if you are playing with the Spring Wardens, you want to use those troops, right? There is not a single troop in Call of Dragons you don't want to use, especially flying units, right? Of course, I might not have like too much experience as a cavalry player, because I generally don't play as a cavalry, but since I have played this game for 2 years, I believe I can speak a little, right? So, Forest Eagle, Cavalry, Melee, Flying units, and of course we want to make a pair for the Forest Eagles in Call of Dragons if we are playing as a Spring Wardens. As I said, Theia is basically better as a secondary hero, and that's why for the Cavalry heroes and Spring Wardens faction, we have a pretty good choice, which basically looks like a Forest Eagle, Forondil, right? Forondil and Theia is basically amazing hero pair if you are playing as a Spring Warden, not only by looks, by the style of gameplay. Of course, it won't gonna be like too much damage in terms of damaging abilities, but survivability will be always there whenever we are speaking about Theia in a hero pair, right? Of course, we want Forondil to deal as much damage as possible. That's why Forondil has a pretty good skills in order for us to deal damage, and Shattering Screech, 1.2k damage, of course, if we're gonna apply debuffs, and we are for sure applying debuffs. Debuffs should be hero skill damage dealt bonus, that's actually buff for the hero pair. Hero skill damage taken reduction, that's basically a debuff, which is good. And of course, if we're gonna use these Forondil and Theia, we will have a Warped which gonna apply debuffs also, right? And yeah, I believe if you are Spring Wardens player and you want to play with the Eagles, you have to awaken Forondil, right? Awakening Forondil is giving us amazing things for this hero pair. Defense break is perfect. March speed slow is another debuff which we're gonna help, because basically we're gonna use Berserker Phaedric, which is amazing whenever you're applying debuffs, and that's how you are dealing damage, right? Well, artifacts for this hero pair is always tricky, because for the cavalry hero pairs, artifacts are basically universal. You can use basically everything, right? Such as Sorlan's Blade, Kingslayer, Storm Arrows, depending on your gameplay. Wolf Woman of Halor is a great usage. Of course, one of the best merit getter artifacts for cavalry players is Spring Blades. Even Oath of the Stormpeak can be used, but I generally don't really rate the skill, but I like the attributes. Of course, Wolf Woman of Wolfhold Horn is another one for more tankiness, and for the camouflage. I know camouflage can be worked on the new cavalry hero, but yeah, even Lunaris can be used for this hero pair, right? But basically, when we speak about Warpeds, I believe there is a one great choice for Forondil and Theia, and that's basically Berserker Phaedric, right? And we have to understand why it's good, right? Each debuff effect inflicted on a target legion grants 1 stack of First Mark. Inflicting Cowardice grants an extra 2 stacks. All stacks of First Mark are consumed 2 seconds after your Deputy casts a rage skill, dealing damage to the target, right? So basically, Forondil and Theia will do debuffs, Theia will also do a lot of buffs, and by those debuffs, the Berserker Phaedric will be your damage dealing Warped, right? So Forondil and Theia will stay alive, Berserker Phaedric is going to deal a lot of damage. And yeah, that's the Spring Wardens optimized build for the Theia and Forondil, and I hope you guys will use this build because I believe this is a great build for your gameplay, especially for Rondel's G2 hero, and it will be easy for you guys to unlock and work on him because Porondil is actually Lucky Spin's hero. Making Theia deadly with the League of Order is basically easy, right? Because I believe for a League of Order, the synergies with Theia has for the Celestials, for the heroes, which one of them we actually mentioned, is amazing, right? Celestials are magic ranged flying units, which are basically better than normal magic troops. Why they are better? Because Celestials have higher magic attack than Vestals, right? But Vestals are giving HP bonuses, which is nice to have at least one march around the battlefield. Let's not waste too much time and let's speak about League of Orders and Celestial builds. Here we have a lot of choices, that's why choosing League of Order as a free-to-play player, especially for the first 6 months in order for you to have fun, is a great choice. Of course, we mentioned Musyang and Theia, let's not mention them again, but other than Musyang and Theia, we have some amazing choices, right? Especially during the beginning, for example, Atheos and Theia is a nice choice to have if you don't have other legendary flying hero and you want to utilize a flying style of gameplay. So Atheos and Theia, I know they won't gonna deal too much damage, but they will survive. Theia will give us a lot of rage, and basically as I was looking at the talents of Theia, rage is a great thing in my opinion. So first hero pair will be easy, Atheos and Theia. Second hero pair, whenever you're gonna go to Season 2, and if you want to unlock Bertrand, G2 hero, Season 2 hero, Bertrand and Theia will be a great choice. Here, in this case, we will have even more damage, because Bertrand actually deals quite a lot of damage, but we have to mention more of a single target damage. Unfortunately, I rate AoE damage for the mage heroes, and that's why I did not really rate Bertrand a lot, but for the Celestials gameplay, Bertrand and Theia is really good, especially if you will have the Mirage Orb and if you will have the Shadow Phaedrake, which suits perfectly for this hero pair. But in general, I believe even Sapphire Phaedrake and Seraphic Phaedrake will work absolutely fine. So Bertrand and Theia, another choice to Season 2 gameplay, and that's pretty cool, right? We have Season 1 hero pair with Atheos, Season 2 with Bertrand, and in Season 3 we are getting Musyang and Theia, and they are becoming the best mage hero pair in the game, right? Currently every single top mage player is using Musyang with Theia, and they are getting highest amount of damage, right? So I believe Theia being League of Order and having 3 hero pairs is normal, because she is the hero from that faction. So if you are choosing to play as a League of Order, I believe you will have a lot of options, and Theia will be a lot useful than in any other faction. There is one more, which is the Wilderburg faction, and this Wilderburg faction is really underrated. I believe this faction is basically for the archer gameplay, and as an archer main, of course, I have a lot of experience playing with the Wyvern Riders, right? Marksman ranged flying units. Basically they have one extra buff, which is increasing HP and normal attack damage, and I believe those buffs are the best buffs for the archers, right? I know they might have same march speed, but that doesn't really feel like that. It doesn't really feel like that. I believe whenever I'm playing with the wyverns, I feel like I'm moving faster, maybe because I don't have like stones or trees or mountains on me. And yeah, I believe like wyverns are perfect troops to use for the archer support gameplay, and that's why for me basically I was using wyvern riders with indecent ally, and they are doing absolutely fine, right? Let's not waste too much time. Let's go straight to the hero pairs for this faction, for the Wilderburg, and of course we're gonna go for the Theia, right? Even here, I believe when you start the game for the beginners, Craig and Theia is good, right? I was using Craig and Theia for like 3 seasons straight up. There is a lot of videos when I was getting 20 to 25k merits with a simple Craig and Theia build. Of course, Craig would be primary. I went for the marksman talent tree because I want to utilize marksman troops, right? And yeah, like if we're gonna discuss Craig and Theia, Craig is basically archer hero, epic hero, which is utilizing skill damage increase, and whenever we are speaking about skill damage increase, buffs from Theia is great, right? For the artifacts, I believe it's really simple. Shadow Blades, I was using Shadow Blades all along, all the time, and for the war pets, there is basically two choices, Snow Peak Rock or the Night Rock, because we want to use flying war pet, because if the war pet is not flying, we won't gonna be flying around the battlefield, right? So basically, Craig and Theia was one of my first hero pairs for the Wyverns gameplay, and it was pretty successful, 20 to 25k merits. Whenever I was playing it, it was totally fine, right? Currently, it's been a 3 KVKs when I have been using Indis and the Tara for my Wyverns. Basically, give me a second. Yeah, Indis and Tara. I have been using Indis and Tara with this lineup. I will show you. Indis and Tara here. And I'm using Wyverns, right? I'm using Wyverns because Wyverns will give me more HP. Using defensive artifact, Heart of Kamasi, to buff my two other legions. Using Sand Lizard because I want to get a lot of heals. And for the Indis talent tree, which is really interesting, right? Which talent tree I'm using, of course. I'm using support talent tree until the max, and overall talent tree because I want to have even high legion capacity, right? The whole idea of this hero pair, they are basically tanks. They don't die fast, and they giving me amazing buffs, right? Infirm is great, healing is great, 50% attack, 10% damage reduction, resistance is also good, and plus I believe Wyverns are more tanky than normal archers, and of course, as I have said, you have to try to basically utilize every single troop which you have in the game, because you don't want to miss out on the troops whenever you are fighting, right? Free-to-play guide to awaken and upgrading Theia is the important step for us to know how to utilize her. Like, there is a different strategies how you can build Theia, or like build in general any hero, right? But in our case, since PvP hero is the Theia, PvP hero means that every single skill which you are going to upgrade will have effect in PvP gameplay. In comparisons to other ones, for example, we're gonna go for rally heroes, and here, of course, building order matters, because first 3 skills are the most important. This one is the stronghold, like garrison rally skill, and of course, as a free-to-play player, you don't want to increase levels on a rally or garrison or peacekeeping skills. That's why even more additionally Theia becomes a priority for the free-to-play players, especially during the start, because if you are going to invest your legendary tokens on Theia, you are not going to make a mistake. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say, because every single skill is actually important, and I believe that if you are going to awaken Theia, it won't gonna be bad, but the awakening skill will basically give you shield to another hero, right? It's not that really important. There is much more importance to have high levels on these skills. Common Theia building mistakes, of course, I already mentioned those mistakes which people are making. They are basically not reading this passive skill, which is Purging Wind. I will read it again. Legion grants 20% defense when Legion is composed entirely of flying units. Their attack is increased by 10% and march speed is 20%, right? So the most important words here, Legion is composed entirely of flying units, which means if you're gonna use like land units, you are basically removing this third skill, and I don't know why you should remove this third skill. Basically, you will have only 3 skills at that time if you are not awakened Theia. So don't miss out on this skill. This is like one of the most common mistakes which players are making, and I believe if you want to utilize Theia as she is, yeah, never try to do it, right? Never try to do it. Yeah, like I'm gonna tell you one yet again like small pay to win players beating strategy which won't gonna cost you a lot. I know Musyang is still the hero, which is one of the best heroes, and Musyang and Theia is basically going to destroy every single player, right? If you are tier 4 and enemy is tier 5 during wars, trust me, Musyang and Theia will be the hero pair, which is going to do absolutely amazing during the fight. So never miss out on this type of synergies. That's why I'm mentioning it again, right? Hopefully, these small tips are important for you, because if you are making some mistakes, yeah, I believe you should know all the tricks which I believe I got in these 2 years of gameplay. This wraps up the complete guide of the Theia in Call of Dragons. She is your best option for aerial combat across all 3 factions, whether you are playing Spring Wardens, League of Order, or Wilderburg. The key is adapting her build to match your faction strengths, durabilities for Spring Wardens, burst damage from League of Orders, and mobility for the Wilderburg. Focus on the right talent builds, hero pairs, and artifacts we discussed to maximize her potential. Let me know in comments which faction you are using Theia with, and or how these strategies are working out for you. Thanks for watching, and of course I will see you in the next guide. If you like the video, as always, press like, subscribe, share. It always gives me more and more motivation to make more content for this game. I wish everybody an amazing day, morning and night. We are going to see each other really soon. Bye bye and good luck.